Good morning and welcome in on this Tuesday morning. Don't know where the time is going really. Where are we now? We're somewhere in June, aren't we? Somewhere in June. 9th of June. Tuesday the 9th of June. So welcome. My name is Helen Jennings. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And I come in and see you of a morning, normally about 9 o'clock, and we do a bit of crafting together. Morning, Beryl. Hope the craft room tidy up is going well. It's a never-ending job. It's like painting the Forth Bridge. It never ever gets to an end. There's always more tidying to be done. But have fun with that, discovering things that you'd forgotten you'd got. So who else have we got? I can see Emma's face has popped up in the corner. So morning, Emma. Lisa, hi. Yep, do come on and say hello. Do share these out with other people that you know that might be interested in coming and joining us and having a play with these crafty things, even if they've never done it before. We always welcome newcomers. That's always exciting. So today, I don't know about worldwide, but here in the UK, we're sneaking up towards Father's Day. Hi. Oh, the dreaded Zoom meetings, Jane. That's fine. You can always pop in and watch us on catch up if you fancy it later. But yeah, so we're creeping up towards Father's Day here in the UK. I think it's possibly a week on Sunday. I get out of the loop really because I no longer unfortunately have to send Father's Day cards or Mother's Day cards and those sorts of things. I do tend to get a bit out of the loop as to when they are, but I know it's coming up. So I thought we'd perhaps have a little look at some sort of more masculine cards for a couple of days, just in case people are looking for ideas for Father's Day. And I've because we used the gears yesterday, I have dragged out the Garage Gears set. So I know this isn't a new set, but it is still very much current and in the catalogue and worth a play with. So Garage Gears. You've got two parts. Obviously you no longer can get them as a bundle, but these two do coordinate together. You've got the stamp set that's got things like petrol cans and toolboxes and cars and inky petrol-y blobs and these little nuts and things, and it's got some quite nice Father's Day sentiments in it, as well as being able to use them for birthdays, all geared up to celebrate. You Jumpstart My Heart, that would be a nice Valentine if you've got a bit of a petrol head at home, wouldn't it? And then the dies that go with it, so we did dig into these yesterday, are these gears ones, and you get a real selection. So you've got this, hi Holly, you get this really big gear set of gears, and then you get sort of the smaller ones. That one's got 3 on, and then you've got a whole variety of little individual gears. You've got your dies that cut out your toolbox and your petrol can and your car, and you've got dies that will cut out these sentiments here and badges and things, and you've got what looks like a little it will come around the outside of there, but looks almost like a little bit of a speech bubble, doesn't it? But it's a nice little label die. So you've got a nice little selection of dies in there that are really useful, and you don't have to think about them in terms of just using them for men's cards. I've certainly used these as flowers, as sort of like little geometrical flowers on things in the past, just doing them in bright colours. But we are going to go down the masculine route this morning because, as I said, we're gearing up towards Father's Day. So if it's for Father's Day cards or cards for the men in your life, whichever it is. But I am going to bring in some new papers and things to use alongside these stamp sets and things. So we're doing a bit of new stuff along with sort of more stuff that's been carried over that we've possibly seen before. So the first set of papers that I've dug out is the In Good Taste set. Now I think, as I said before, I think we're going to be dipping into this a lot because they're really nice background papers that you can do things with, either have them as they are, or you can do things with them to spruce them up. So we're going to use those papers. And for this particular card, I dug out some Night of Navy and some Real Red. So let us cut a Night of Navy card base. I'm going to cut that at 14.9. Whiz, swing it round and score it at 10.5. And then I'm going to cut a mat for that card out of Real Red. So I'm going to go to 14.4 centimetres. Swing this round and cut it at 10. So we've got 0.5 centimetre shorter on each side to make our first little mat to sit on there. Then I'm going to take some of this sort of tiled paper, so it's sort of got this herringbone zigzaggy tiles on one side, and then on the back it's got this nice blue sort of almost acrylic painty splodges. Really lovely. And that's actually the Misty Moonlight, but you would get away with that hint of blue, I'm sure, on that Night of Navy card. But I'm going to cut this so that it is 9.5 centimetres wide and 13.9 long. Then I am going to gut the middle of that, not measuring it particularly, just taking a chunk out of the middle. I can use on something else. So that doesn't have to be particularly precise, doesn't have to be particularly pretty. Let's just pop that out, and I've got a little paper to use on something else. But we've got our frame of tiled paper to come in there. And then I've got some all of this paper, only this time I'm going to use this piece that sort of looks almost like a granite slab. And I'm going to bring this, so this one was 9.5 by 13.9. I'm going to make this one 8.5 by 12.9. So I'm bringing it down a whole centimetre on each side so that we get quite a nice little border of the tiling underneath it. So having done all of that, that's our layers. I'm going to sit on there, something like that. We're then going to have a bit of a play with this piece just here. So I'll put those other bits just to one side for a minute. I'm going to bring in some Whisper White because I am going to stamp. I'm going to stamp, and we're going to die cut a car, and I think we'll have a petrol can and a toolbox. So we'll have all of those stamped and die cut. I'll come back to the others, decide what and if of those we want as we go along. So let's get some blocks, and let's get some Memento ink. That's a better block for that one. And that one will work quite nicely for that one. And with a bit of luck, yes, that one will work quite nicely for that one. Right, Memento ink. As we're going to colour these in with our stamping blends. So we've got a petrol can. Doesn't really matter about lining that up, it's just habit, isn't it? Because I'm going to be die cutting it anyway. But and our car. Okay, so I have grabbed a few stamping blends. They're not, hugely exciting, pretty colours, but let's see how we get on. Bring in my chair. Now I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do the toolbox in blue, I think, and the car in red, and we'll use some sort of greys and things on that petrol can. So I've got my Night of Navy card here, a pen here, and where this cross hatching is, I'm coming in with the dark blend, because that would suggest that there's some dark shading there. Let's come around the edge a little bit. Take it around the edge of this, just there. Add in a bit just there. Let's come on over with our light one, and then we'll see if there's anywhere else that we need to add in any darker shading. So I'm going to bring that right over the top, and as always we'll blend that all in together. Round my tools. Squeaky, squeaky. Come around here. And do some of the tools, and then this is a light smoky slate just here. Perhaps use a dark smoky slate for some of the others. Just give it a bit of a variance of colour. A little screwdriver in there. Might give that a red handle. I can remember my dad having screwdrivers with red handles. Let's come back in with some light smoky slate. Oh, let's come in with the other side. We don't want the brush tip. A sprocket, I'm sure that's what they're called. Variety of little things in that toolbox. And come in with a light Night of Navy again, and just add in sort of in between the tools. And we want a handle, don't we? And then perhaps we'll use some light grey granite for the catch. Next we've got a toolbox. Let's come in with some dark real red around the edge of our car. Obviously real red on those cross hatchings because that's the window screen. The windscreen, that would be very odd. I know some people have dark window screens, but I think a red window screen would really not quite work. That dark red around the top here. We'll have a red spoiler down here. And let's come in with some of the light real red. I'm going to bring in the dark smoky slate. I think I'm going to do this bottom piece. So do this sort of grill on the front here. May not be authentic for this sort of a car, but that's what creativity is all about, isn't it? We can do it what colour we like. Come in with light grey granite for this bumper just here, and to use the light black for that wing mirror. I think light grey granite again. We'll perhaps do the inside of these wheels, sort of like a chromey sort of effect. Then I'm going to take the light smoky slate and just add in this shading and come round the, oh goodness me, we have some cats that are having a little set too out here, and we'll just use that light smoky slate for going around that edge just there. One thing I didn't grab, but I will now, I'm going to grab just the light So Saffron, I think. We'll just put in a touch of light So Saffron for the lights. Right, so that's our car. Hi, Em. And our toolbox. Let's have a look at our petrol can. Might actually give that a bit of a blue stripe just here, possibly. Just because we can. Why not? Might have been a little bit of branding on there. And then I'll come in with the dark grey granite. And again, where this cross hatching is, we'll come in around there, around the top and bottom. And let's add in some light grey granite. As I was growing up, my mum and dad ran a taxi business, and my dad used to run a garage. So these sorts of petrol cans and things were very much part of the landscape when I was growing up. Bring in the light basic black, I think, for the hose on the petrol can. Right, so we have got our little elements coloured in. Let's grab our dies that we want. So we want petrol can, the car and the toolbox. Oh, let's whiz my big shot this way. My trolley seems to have wandered. And I will run those through the big shot. I'm going to do that in 2 runs because otherwise the dies will overlap, and that is something we don't want to happen, because if your dies overlap, one die can cut into the other one, and that is not what you want to happen. That can damage them, so we don't want that happening. The toolbox, car, petrol can to go. Okay. So let's have a little look. What shall we have in terms of greeting? I think perhaps we'll go the Happy Father's Day, and we'll have that. Oh, actually, let us dig about and find the real red. That's the poppy red. That's a night of navy. That's a cherry cobbler. That's a real red. So let's have our night of navy and our real red markers. Let's bring in our Stamparatus and let's do some direct, hi Karen, direct to stamp inking. So we'll have it coming down there somewhere. And shall we have a blue outline with red letters or a red outline with blue letters? I think I'm going to go blue outline with red letters. So I'm going to come in with my marker and I'm going to colour in the frame on this. And if we need to come back in again in a minute, we're going to be able to, because we have it on our stamp apparatus. Oh, lovely. And then let's colour in our Happy Father's Day. In real red. Let's have a bit of both worlds. Hello, Jeanette. I quite like that, actually. I quite like the sort of, I don't want it to be any more solid than that, I don't think. I think it sort of adds to the grunge of the, that this stamp set sort of gives you a feeling of a bit of grungy. So I quite like that grungy. Didn't re-wet my Simply Chamois this morning. I'm wondering if it's damp enough to clean that up. Perhaps not quite. We'll take the worst off and then I'll come back in with it in a little while. So let's take that out of there and we'll die cut that. I am using my Stamparatus more and more and more. Whether that's because I've now got it, because I'm not out and about backwards and forwards to classes, I've got it sitting beside my desk and it's much easier just to grab it. I'm not sure. Could be. Good to have things to hand. Right, I'm now going to take Petrol Splodge. And I'm going to take those little nuts. And I think we'll make the petrol blobs. No, we won't. I'm going to clean that off. I think we'll go basic grey. So not quite black. Nearly, but not quite. Just thinking, what have I done with that stamp set? We were doing so well compared to yesterday. Right, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do some add in some petrol splodges around here. Yep, that's probably enough petrol splodges. And then I'm going to grab, I think, silver embossing. And we'll just put in a few little silver embossed nuts. Whole hazelnuts. No, wrong sort of nuts. Where? Ah, there it is. Is my embossing buddy gone? So let's give that a good smoosh with the embossing buddy. As I said, I know these aren't any longer available, but they are still a vital piece of equipment and are available, just not from us. So I'm going to add in a few little, let's see, silver. It's the nearest you get to bling. on a man's card. And we might get some more little splatters. It's a job to tell where that silver powder is. We might get a few little other splatters of silver, but actually in the blobbiness of the card that won't matter. Look at that. Pop! And just leap off the background. Don't you just love embossing powder? I do anyway. So let's make this up. So I think we'll start with our let me grab some dimensionals and some glue and see where we're going to go. So we'll have our car. Coming about there, I think. So I will stick that down to the card base. I've just got those bits of silver sneaking out behind. And you'll also have this stuck down, and then our toolbox we'll put on some dimensionals. With our little silver nuts and bolts tucked out there, and I think our petrol can will have coming down here. Okay, let's bring in our other layers, and we'll stick these in place. I'm just going to put some glue around the outside of this one initially to pop it onto there. This paper so looks as if it ought to have a raised texture to it, but it hasn't. It just looks as if it's 3D. That's the photographic quality of the images. And then we'll put some glue all over the back of this one. And then I think we'll perhaps pop this one up on some dimensionals. Thank you, Karen. Makes a change from doing pretty. Normally we tend to head down the pretty route, don't we? Tends to be our default setting. So a bit of grungy is not a bad thing sometimes. So we've brought in that those touches of just flicking these off in the background. I do tidy up at some point. I have a little bit of a bustle later. Put these all away. So we've brought in those elements of that red and blue throughout. So we've got our blue card base, our red mat, got our red car, our blue toolbox, and then we've used both of those markers to bring the red and blue into that greeting. So there's one little Father's Day card using the Geared Up Garages. Geared Up Garage is the stamp set, and Garage Gears are the dies. Ooh. Right, now for my other card, I thought we would perhaps go to town with these gear dies. Pop that to one side for a minute. And I have actually dug out the World of Good paper, which is the paper that goes with all of those globes and quills and things. And obviously in here you have got things like maps that would be quite useful to use with this stamp set. But I got my eye on this piece just here, because I quite like that. And I've also dug out some of our brass, the new brass foil, which obviously is what this is just here. And I think for this one, I think we will go black card base. Let's come. I'm going to cut a long one, and we'll decide whether it's going to be tent fold or whether it's going to be side opening as we go along. Oh, nearly cut that. That was nearly a bottoms moment. Right, so let's cut a piece of this paper. So it's got this lovely green, mossy meadow green with sort of like this faint outline of the world on it. Lovely background. But we're going to go for the foiled side. So I'm going to cut that at 10 by 14.4. So I haven't decided yet whether it's going to go that way or that way. We'll decide as we go along. And let's grab some of this foil, and let's grab some of these gears. So I'm going to do a big set of gears in the brass, and then I think I'm going to do some smaller ones in black. Let's go this one here, possibly. Okay. I was saying the other day, I really love this brass foil. It's got sort of a deeper tone to it than, not quite wide enough, deeper tone to it than the gold. Let's see, how wide do we need that to be? We say 3 inches by just over 4. We should, actually if we make it 3 inches by 4, but we'll squeeze that on. So let's cut a bit that's 3 inches by 4. Yeah, that will fit easily. So that's our foil piece. And then I'm going to get an oddment of black from my oddment of white and black box. I gather up so many oddments of card. And we'll get these 3 here, and we'll run those through as well. So we've got all the gear, ha ha ha. Let's run those through the machine. And back again. I can't decide what I want to do weather-wise. I've got a bit of a jumper or a sort of a vest top and a little short shortish 3/4 sleeve jumper this morning because it felt a bit chilly, but actually it's feeling quite warm in here again now. Just don't quite know what to wear. What a dilemma. I was seeing somebody, a demonstrator from, I think she's Tasmania, was saying how cold it was this morning. It was -1, which I'm sure is probably relatively unusual. So we're not that cold. That would be very surprising for June. For us, as we're supposed to be sort of heading into summer. And then let's pop this one out. Look at that. Woo! How gorgeous is that? Let's pop out all these little middle pieces. Hi Glenda. Okay, got some more. It's almost like I don't want to waste those. I have to find something to do with all those little bits of brass foil. These look like leaves. They would be good, wouldn't they, for little leaves? Ooh. Sorry, that's a scribble moment. I've gone off on a tangent there, haven't I? Where's my little box? I'm going to hang on to those for a minute. I'm going to pop that in there and see what else we can find in that, the bits that pop out. Okay, so now we have got, look how striking that looks on there, and some black cogs as well that we can scatter around. I don't think we're going to want much more other than a greeting on there, are we? That is looking good. Now then, there was let me pop the lid on this embossing powder. That's dangerous, having that lurking to one side. Now, where have I buried the dies? Aha, here they are. Now we've got this Best Dad that fits around there. This one that will go in the background. I'm going to cut one of these out. So I'm just looking for that other smaller piece of brass foil. What did I do with that? I don't know. Let me just cut a slither off of here. This particular die, it cuts this bit out of the middle, which would give you that bit there exactly, if that's what you want. But then it gives you this here, which is rather lovely, that we can then have sitting in the middle of that one. So let's cut one of these out of our oddment of black. We got enough on there? Yes, we have. So that will sit like that. And obviously we need to put our greeting in the middle. And gold. I'm thinking let's try it in white. Let's go for white embossing and see how that works. And this is one of those sort of reverse stamps, so it's going to stamp but leave the black in the middle, if you know what I mean. Let's have a look at what that looks like, and then we might come in with another option. We'll see if that doesn't work. Trial and error. Trial and error. Did I say morning Molly? If I didn't say morning Molly, morning Molly. We're playing with gears and cars and things this morning because I know that it's Father's Day coming up. Right. We want that to be centered on there. Now we didn't notice I've done something wrong, so we're back to the royal we. Didn't put any didn't do my embossing buddy on that one. Actually, our brass foil border is going to cover most of it, but so as I say, this is quite a grungy look, this stamp. I'll bring it down a little bit off of that. That laminated sheet on the back. As the heat gun will curl that up. Best Dad. Just wondering where. Not sure that I like the white. We no longer have black embossing powder, but what I could do is, again, let me bring in my Stamparatus and let's try something I've been meaning to try for a little while. I'm going to pop away my white embossing powder. I'm going to grab my clear embossing powder. I'm going to go back to white cardstock. Oh dear, just knocked all my watercolour pencils flying. Let's grab, pick those up. let's try another experiment. We keep experimenting today. I'm going to take this Best Dad, put it that way only because it's fitting better on that piece of card, no other reason. I am going to, let's stamp it in Memento. So it is one of those stamps that is blotchy by design. I am going to give it another coat of black. I'm then going to come in with a layer of Versamark. Perhaps should have cleaned that stamp up first, but actually it's not transferred too much. And then, now I might have got away without the Versamark. The Memento might have picked up the powder enough, but just to be on the safe side, we'll give that a coating of clear embossing powder, and then we'll heat that up. And that will now give us a nice black, shiny. Can you pick that up, how that's nice and shiny now? Then we'll cut that out with that die and add that behind our brass outline. That's better because there's still a bit of a flash of white, but it's not. It's mainly that black now, and which sits nicely on the black with all of our other black bits. Okay, let's put this together. I think I quite like it that way round actually. So I'm going to start off by putting our brass frame on our greeting. Like that. Let's put our paper on our card base. Now obviously both of these cards that we've done will need white inserts, and I shall go on to do that. Add a bit of a stamp of some sort to the inside. I think we'll put this up on dimensionals. Excuse me, sneezing. Just there. And then another die we could have cut with our double-sided sticky. There's a bit in the middle of that die that hasn't come out. In fact, I can see two. So there is that centre of that cog just there that needs to come out, and there's a little bit just there that needs to come out. So that's that sorted. Have that coming round there like that, and then we've got our black cogs to come in. So I think we'll have one in here. It is the sort of stamp set and die blender that's really useful to have in your arsenal. As I say, these cogs are just brilliant for all sorts of things, all sorts of backgrounds, and of course we've die cut them. You can emboss them into cardstock or into foil, which is equally lovely. Let's put this one up here. This one we could put another little dimensional on. And have that one down there, and I think I'm very tempted to do no more with that because I quite like its sort of its simplicity, and it's sort of got a bit of class about it, isn't it? A bit of classy simplicity. So let's bring in, actually I'm going to bring in this other bit of paper because that will show those off quite nicely. So there we are, the geared up garage and the gear dies, garage gears dies. There's a few gears missing there, but you get a whole collection of gears as well as the dies to cut out the stamp set. Really great for masculine cards. So it doesn't have to just be for people that like cars and things. That one isn't necessarily speaking of cars, but a great masculine card using, say, that paper from that World of Good Sweet and that new brass foil, which is just beautiful, just lovely. So there we go. A couple of men's cards today, and we might come back to some men cards again this week, as I say, because we are creeping up, certainly here in the UK, I'm not sure about elsewhere, towards Father's Day, and we've always got men in our lives that we need to create cards and things for. So thank you for joining me today, and have a really good day, whatever you're doing, and I will see you again in the morning.